224, Chapter 20. The day of the first snowfall, Mercy got out of bed. Judith ventured outside as far as well, came back, her cheeks glowing with bits of feathery white clinging to her cloak and to her dark robe. "'Tis snowing," she announced. "Snowing." Mercy struggled up one elbow, her voice eager. "Come, let me touch it, Judith." Judith drew near the bed and held out her sleeve. The flecks of white vanished under Mercy's reverent fingertips. "I must see it," Mercy insisted. "Just for a moment, Mother. I can't miss the first snowfall." It took much preparation, as though for a long journey. 2 pairs of knitted wool stockings between her feet, and the cold boards, the blue shawl wrapped securely about her ears, and a heavy quilt swaddled round her from head to foot. They formed a little procession, Rachel and Judith supporting the invalid at each elbow, and Kit following behind to hold up the trailing ends of the quilt from the sanded floor. Very slowly they crossed the room to the front window, and Mercy sank weakly into a chair and rested her chin against the window frame. Outside, the gray afternoon was speckled with drifting white. Already a thin powdery dusting had gathered in the wagon ruts of the road. The flakes fell softly, vanishing in the heaps of brown leaves, swirling in little smoky coils. "I love the first snowfall better than anything in the world," sighed Mercy, her eyes worshipful. "I can't imagine why," said Judith practically. "It means you can scarcely step foot on the door again till spring." "I know, but 'tis so beautiful, and it makes the house seem so warm and safe. To think that Kit has never seen snow before. Go to the door, Kit, and feel it for me." Kit went obediently to the door and stepped outside. The white flakes made a queer sort of confusion before her eyes. They brushed her cheeks like tiny flower petals and caught on her eyelashes. For a moment her heart lifted with a trace of Mercy's excitement. Then the cold dampness soaked through her thin slippers and she shivered. "I'm not sure I like it," she thought. "It's curious and lovely in a way, but it makes everything so dark, and somehow it makes me feel shut off. Somewhere far beyond this endless curtain of white-green leaves and flowers were growing under a bright warm sun. Would she ever see them again? Next morning her dark fears were swept away in a rush of wonder. Under a cloudless blue sky stretched a breathtaking, glittering universe, carved of dazzling white coral, unreal and silent. Every familiar sign was altered. There was no trace of life or motion. It was as though no eye but hers had ever looked out upon this purity and perfection. Then, as she looked, a living thing dared to intrude upon this untouched wilderness. Through the white carven carpet that had been High Street pushed 4 oxen, fired up to their middles, dragging behind them a heavy plough. Snow fell away from the great blade in a gigantic wave. "They are breaking out the road," exclaimed Judith. "Now we will be able to get to the lecture." That evening, for the first time since Kit's arrest, William came to call. He had stayed away, he explained, out of consideration for the illness in the house. He inquired courteously after Mercy's health, and she smiled at him from the bed where she sat propped up against the feather pillows. Rachel fluttered to draw a chair for him. On the opposite side of the hearth, Kit was intent on spinning. She had taken over Mercy's flax wheel and was slowly mastering the art of winding a fine uniform thread. It took concentration and a steady hand. Now the humming of the wheel barely slackened, and she raised her eyes for one grave, cool look. William's eyes flickered away toward the leaping flames. It was Judith who kept the conversation going. She had fiercely resented her enforced absence from church and lectures. Now she demanded to know everything that had happened, which of her friends were up and about, when there might be a sleighing party, etc. "I hope John gets back soon," she sighed. "Thankfully Peabody's wedding is to be in December, and I can't bear it if he isn't there for that. They say in the town that there's been no word from the detachment since they stopped at Hadley. There's been new Indian raids up Deerfield Way. Judith dropped her knitting and stared at William. Mercy leaned her head back against the pillows and closed her eyes. Aunt Rachel sprang to her feet in alarm. "I'm surprised at you for spreading rumors, William," she reproved him. "They say no news is good news. Now 'tis way past Mercy's bedtime. She looks white as a ghost." She hesitated. "Kit, you and William can lay a fire in the company room if you like." Kit did not look up from her spinning. "'Twould like a monstrous lot of wood to heat the room before midnight," she observed. William took the hint and pulled out his heavy beaver fur coat and cap. Kit would not have risen from her place at all, but Rachel, with a meaningful nudge, handed her a candle, and she had forced to see her suitor to the door. In the hallway, William did not seem disposed to hurry. He lingered so long that Kit was forced to shut the door behind them to keep the chilly draft from the kitchen. "I've missed you, Kit," said William finally. "I had to come back." Kit said nothing. "You don't seem very pleased to see me." How could a girl say that there had been a time when she had longed with all her heart to see him? Besides, there was something more on William's mind. "I don't want you to think that I hold anything against you, Kit," he said awkwardly. "Everyone knows that you meant well. They are all saying in the town what a help you have been to your aunt these past weeks. You'll find, when you come back, I promise you, that everyone is willing to let bygones be bygones, and that you can make a fresh start." 224 to 228.